מה שהממשלה הזאת עושה, זו לא רפורמה, זו הפיכה. הם חושבים שאנחנו טיפשים.
שמעתי עכשיו את דבריה המלומדים והמלומקים של עוד אנרכיסטית.
הם חושבים שאנחנו לא מבינים. הם חושבים שעל ידי דיבורים מעורפלים על רפורמה משפטית ופסקות התגברות, אנחנו לא נראה מה באמת קורה כאן. אבל אנחנו מבינים טוב מאוד מה הם עושים. הם רוצים כוח בלתי מוגבל. הם רוצים לקחת לנו את החופש. הם רוצים לסתום לנו את הפה.
אדוני היועץ המשפטי, אני באמת ממליץ. אני באמת מציע לך לחזור בך.
ולקבוע לנו איך לחיות.
אנחנו נעשה את המהפכה על אפכם.
הם רוצים להגיד לנו מה לאכול, מה ללבוש, מה לחשוב, ואת מי לאהוב.
חבר הכנסת רוטמן, אופיר כץ, אמר שבתי מלון יוכלו לסרב לארח הומואים בקרבם.
הם חושבים שאם יש להם 61 אצבעות, הם יכולים לדחוף את האצבעות האלה לכל פינה. אבל הם לא מבינים עם מי יש להם עסק. אנחנו הישראלים, זה לא חומר טוב לעשות ממנו עבדים. אנחנו הישראלים עקשנים, אנחנו תחמנים, אנחנו חופשיים, ואף אחד אף פעם עוד לא הצליח לסתום לנו את הפה. אז רוטמן, לוין, נתניהו, תשמרו את האצבעות שלכם לעצמכם. יש לנו מסר אחד להעביר לכם. תעצרו את ההפיכה, או שנעצור את המדינה.
קודם כל לבלום את איראן. זו שאלה קיומית. הדבר השני, להחזיר את הביטחון והמשילות בתוך מדינת ישראל. הדבר השלישי, לטפל ביוקר המחיה ומצוקת הדיור. והדבר הרביעי, להרחיב באופן דרמטי את מעגל השלום.
אני משיק היום את השלב הראשון של רפורמת המשילות. ואני אמשיך לעשות ואמשיך לקדם את הרפורמה. אני אחזור ואומר, אני נחוש לקדם את הרפורמה. ואני לא אפשר שום עצירה של תהליכי החקיקה.
ראש הממשלה האמיתי?
Wow.
Powerful stuff.
Heavy duty. Welcome everybody to our third podcast. I'm here in the studio with my best friend Ron Zeev, and we've been together for many years. We are friends since back in Hashem Eretz Zair in Los Angeles in the late 1960s, and now he lives on a kibbutz just between me and the Lebanese border. I live on another kibbutz, and that's the end of our introduction about ourselves because we're talking about much more important stuff. We want you to know that what's been going on. This is not just a game plan for a basketball game about who we're going to hit the high point, or we're going to hit the power forward, or we're going to go for layups or three-pointers. No. This is about changing the entire game. This is about the weight of the ball, the size of the ball, the shape of the court, the length of the game. This is changing the entire rule book, and all within 6 weeks. That is that our government is on a legislative blitz to pass a tremendous amount of new laws, and all within 6 weeks. This is all going to be over at the end of March. So we want you to know we're not going to be talking about, let's say, occupation. We're not going to be talking about the rights of these people or how this is wrong in Israeli policies or whatever. Our podcasts are only specifically about what's going on in Israel right now, and that is saving Israeli democracy. So we want you to be sure you understand that we're not going to be discussing everything in the world. But one more thing I wanted to mention in that last video, second video that you saw, was that in essence, we've elected a new government. But what we did was each person voted for a party. The party of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Likud, did not win a tremendous majority of anything. They won only 20-some-odd% of the voters. But together with their partners in the coalition, they have the power to form a government of a 64 majority out of 120. But in essence, who's really pulling the strings of the marionettes? It's not Netanyahu. He had to bow down to his partners in the coalition with their extremist and racist views, or they will threaten to leave and the government will fall. So in essence, right now, the minister of the judiciary is running the entire government. So that's just something you should know. So here's another little piece of fun that we're going to watch.
שואלת, מי מבטיח שלא תיגעו בזכויות אדם?
אני עניתי על זה הרגע. אני מבטיח. הנה, אני שר האוצר של מדינת ישראל, מבטיח לא לפגוע בזכויות אדם.
בוודאי שרצונותיי בטווח הארוך, ושמדינת ישראל תתנהל על פי התורה, כך צריך להיות, מדינה יהודית. מדינת ישראל, מדינתו של העם היהודי, בעזרת השם, תחזור להתנהל כפי שהתנהלה בימי דוד המלך ושלמה המלך, על פי משפט התורה.
Whoa. Here we are again. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
I'd like to take this opportunity once again to say that I'm thrilled to be sitting next to and co-piloting this podcast with my old buddy, mighty Moshe Chertoff, the man and the legend. We want to thank all of the people out there that have given us great feedbacks about this podcast. We're doing our best to get the information out there to the Anglophile world out there, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, wherever, and of course the United States, wherever anyone can listen to us. So we help us stop this slippery slide, slope down this towards fascism. Let me give you a little bit of an update about things that have happened kind of very, very quickly. Benjamin Netanyahu was on his way to visiting Rome. He on his way there, the translator from Italian to Hebrew Italian, told him at the last minute she did not want to go with him. I don't know how they solved that problem. Number two is that they had trouble finding an airline and an airline pilot, even El Al, to fly them there. Eventually, they had to give up their 777 flight and move to a 737 jet for a discount price.
They just couldn't find pilots. They even went to another airline, and none of the airlines could find pilots to take them to Rome.
Yeah, and hopefully they found, they said in the Israeli news they used 60 rooms in the hotel that they needed for everyone that went along with them for the ride, of course, including Bibi's wife, Sarah, who we all love and adore. When I raise my hand, I'm being sarcastic. I just did it now. Bibi went to visit Giorgio.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm never going to be sarcastic. I'm always very serious about this stuff.
Right. Okay. Bibi went to visit Giorgia Meloni in Italy, who were thrilled to find out that she gave up her anti-Semitic past. That's a little sarcasm there. And Bibi found very, very comfortable to be meeting with her. Next week, Bibi's going to be both in Berlin and in London. And hopefully, as in Italy, he will be greeted there with great demonstrations from the community there, Jewish, Israeli, and all of the others.
Let me interject.
Shouting out against Israeli slipping into fascism.
Let me just let people know overseas who don't know, in his visit to the synagogue, the main synagogue of Rome, there were people protesting in the synagogue and preventing him from continuing his address. And there were fights that broke out. I mean, huge demonstrations everywhere he goes. So it's heavy duty stuff.
Keep up the good work, everybody.
Absolutely. Bravo.
Since last time we met, also in Israel, it's not a local police station as let's say in the United States, but it's a national police police, and the Tel Aviv police chief was dismissed, moved to a different position, as well as an Israeli ace fighter pilot who was grounded. Both those decisions had to be reneged.
And what was the timing of that decision of announcing the fact that they're changing the chief of police of Tel Aviv, Ron?
Yeah, at exactly the time that there was a terrorist attack.
Same day.
The same day of the protest, there was a terrorist attack in Israel. They needed the guy on the job, and what happened is the Attorney General of Israel said, "No way, these were not good decisions, not lawful good decisions."
But let me just inform people. Things are going on such a heavy and fast pace in our daily lives. In the middle of a demonstration of 160,000 people, which is the equivalent of over 325 million Americans, people started walking home. Tens of thousands of people are walking home, and there's a terrorist attack. And all of a sudden, we're finding out that the guy who's supposed to be in charge of all of Tel Aviv and taking care of this terrorist attack, he's been replaced. He's been fired, or his position. It's terrible. Just, if you're looking at mayhem or the craziness, chaos that's going on here, it's not on our part. We didn't push the buttons that are creating all of this mess. It's the government has been pushing it, and it's the government is continuing to screw up at every opportunity.
And you can see that this is kind of a mini constitutional crisis where the minister says, turn to the right, and the attorney general says, no, bad decision, turn to the left. And the people on the ground are having problems finding out or realizing this incredible dilemma that they're in. As of last night, there have been laws that they're moving forward just as quickly as they possibly can.
It's a blitz.
As I mentioned before, by the end of March, we should be clearly into a fascist state. I want to take this opportunity also to thank Bibi Netanyahu for consolidating the Israeli people. He's brought out the silent majority. Bibi Netanyahu has done for the Israeli people what Putin has done for the European community, solidified, strengthened NATO, and this is exactly what Bibi Netanyahu has done to the people.
He's doing it for the opposition in Israel. He's bringing this all together.
250,000 people out on the streets.
Let's remind people that our opposition is not based on left versus right or conservatives versus progressives. No, this is everybody who opposes turning our country into a autocracy of racism and theocracy.
Exactly. This has nothing to do with the right and left in Israel. This has to do, as far as I can see, between the producers and the anti-producers. The producers being those people in Israel who produce money. They go out and work and earn money and pay taxes, and they also provide defense for Israel. As versus the anti-producers who ideologically do not want to go out there and earn money. They want to be supported by the state and by the producers, and they have nothing to give to the defense of Israel. So that is where we're at the moment, and this is what Bibi Netanyahu has done. He's gotten the producers out on the street and protesting. I want to say also that the most dangerous people that I have seen in my lifetime on the face of the earth are those who say, God is on my side. When they say that, watch out.
Well, wait, it worked for the Crusaders.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked out for them, but
it worked for right-wing white attacks on everybody else in the United States.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And also, I want to say just a small something in parentheses. I'm a great admirer of Rachel Maddow. I listened to her podcast, and I heard something, just kind of a small little segment she did in her show where she mentioned the fact that in Georgia, the state of Georgia, the Republicans have passed a law where they can essentially fire the state prosecutor. This is what it looks like when they try to take over the judiciary. So I don't know if Israel is the canary in the mine. I'm certainly not sure of that, but watch out, United States. Things are happening there as well. Okay.
I want to let people understand that neither we nor the protesters are atheists or radical left-wing progressive whatevers. There are all sorts of people taking part in all of this, and we just wanted you to show a piece that will give you a little bit more information about it. So let's take a look at this.
לעמוד כאן על הבמה הזאת. אני עושה את זה כדי להיות הקול של רבבות נשים חרדיות בלי קול. נשים שהמגף של בית הדין הרבני דורך על צווארן. האיש הוא בעל הדין. את תהיי בשקט. תשתקי. ההפיכה המשטרית תיתן סמכויות חוקיות לאנשי דת במקום לאנשי מקצוע שיחריבו בראש ובראשונה את עולמן של נשים חרדיות. וזמן קצר לאחר מכן יגיעו גם לנשים החילוניות.
Yeah, heavy stuff. There's so much cooperation going on throughout all of the people protesting here. It's fabulous. It's really very uplifting. So I'm going to show you, for instance, the next video is from a group of people who are American citizens and Israelis who are concerned with what's going on in the United States and making sure that Americans do their part in contributing to our success. And therefore, they went to the American embassy in Tel Aviv and protested. So just wanted you to know what you're seeing here.
President Biden, please help Israeli democracy. Take a strong stand. This is super serious. This is a heartfelt plea from a mother. We need the help of our best friend.
It's his duty as the President of the United States and the leader of the free world.
We are Israeli citizens. We are begging.
Please, Mr. Biden, stand up for democracy. Take a stand.
President Biden, I'm worried, and you're the only person who can help. Help us. The price of error is intolerable.
United, I never anticipated for Israel to lose the democracy, to lose their values of freedom and equality.
Mr. Biden, the time is now to act. Help save Israeli democracy, please.
We need your help.
Wow, heavy stuff. Okay, I wanted you to know that who we're dealing with here. We've got a prime minister who is under indictment on 3 charges. Those include bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. And it's gone to the Supreme Court, and they've allowed him to run again. They've allowed him to actually compete in the elections. But he's only one. He's the prime minister. I mean, can you imagine if the leader of your country is under investigation? He's under indictment. He's got trials waiting for him. And that's most of the reason for doing everything he's been doing right now, is to stall his having to go through the courts and possibly keep him out of prison. But he's only one, as I said. For instance, the Minister of Finance, who is visiting the United States right now and speaking to the Israel bonds. This guy I'm going back. In 1999, a minister, Aryeh Deri from the Shas party, was convicted on bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. He was given a 3-year sentence, and he actually served time. And he was appointed the vice prime minister and minister of health. And our Supreme Court, which is still functioning, said, no, in your plea bargaining, you were told and you agreed that you could not become part of a government. You can be a member of Knesset, but you cannot take part in the government. And in he went. So out they took him. He's out. And now they have a new law that's being proposed called the dairy law. And they passed that in their preliminary reading, which is going to get dairy back into the government. They're going to allow that. And they passed a law, for instance, to be able to override any questions, any decisions made by the Supreme Court. So this is heavy stuff. In addition to that, our Minister of, what would you call it? The National Defense. He, Itamar Ben-Gvir, you probably heard his name mentioned many times. He was convicted of incitement to racism and supporting a terrorist organization. This guy actually got to Yitzhak Rabin's Cadillac and stole the insignia of the Cadillac off and appeared on television holding the insignia and saying, we got to Rabin's car, we can get to Rabin. And then we all know Rabin was assassinated. So this guy, together with Derry, are two ex-cons who are ministers. But he's also the Minister of National Security. This guy who has served in jail, this guy who was a supporter of racist organizations and was convicted in court. Unbelievable. So we just thought you should know about that. So that's the whole background as to who is running the country. It's absolutely amazing. So we're going to bring in one more video for you to watch here. This is a video that is actually taken from the Knesset. So please have a good listen here, or you can read the translation. So here we go.
כשעזרתי לילדים שלי להתחפש לפורים, עצרתי לרגע וחשבתי, איך תיראה מדינת ישראל שהם יגדלו אליה? אם ההפיכה המשטרית שלכם חס וחלילה תעבור, וישראל שלנו תהפוך לדיקטטורה ביביסטית וכהניסטית. ואני חייבת להודות שהמחשבה הזאת שברה לי את הלב. אפשר להגיד שאני גדלתי בנוער הליכוד וביישוב מעלה ישראל שליד ברקן. עבדתי במצודת זאב, עבדתי בצוות של נתניהו, אבל נתניהו של פעם, לא הנתניהו הזה שהשקר הפך להיות לו לדרך חיים. 30 שנה אני הייתי בליכוד, ולי אף אחד מלהקת המעודדות בכת הביביסטית הזאת לא יכול להטיף לי על ערכי המחנה הלאומי. מחנה שעבר השתלטות קיצונית שכולה מובלת על ידי בן אדם אחד. אדם שכדי לברוח מהכלא מוכן להחריב את ישראל היהודית והדמוקרטית. וכל השותפים שלו מהכנופיה הכהניסטית והביביסטית שכמוהו לא מקבלים את ערכי הדמוקרטיה ושלטון החוק. ועבורם יהודי, עבורכם אגב, עבורכם יהודי הוא אחד ששורף בתים של ערבים, אבל הוא לא מחבל. עבורכם שלטון הדוצ'ה מקיסריה חשוב יותר מכל ערך אחר. אנחנו ברגע האמת, וישראל חייבת לנצח את ביביסטן. כי נתניהו של פעם כבר לא קיים, נשאר רק מוסו ביבי, וסביבו הפשיזם, הביביסטי, הכהניסטי. תגידו, איזה מדינה אתם רוצים להקים לנו? כמעט חצי מהממשלה שלכם בכלל לא מאמין בשלטון החוק. אתם לא מאמינים בכלל במגילת העצמאות. כמה מכם היו חותמים היום על מגילת העצמאות? חברי הקואליציה וחברי הממשלה. וזה מראה בדיוק איזה מדינה אתם רוצים שתהיה כאן. פשיסטית, כהניסטית, ביביסטית, עם גרסה מעוותת של היהדות, הומופובית, שוביניסטית, ועל כל זה מנצח המוסוביבי הזה שלכם. הוא לא חי בכלל את החיים של אזרחי מדינת ישראל. אין לו ארנק. בגלל זה גם עכשיו עשו לו את חוק המתנות. למה שהוא ישלם על העבירות שהוא עשה כנגד הציבור? שהציבור ישלם עבור המשפט שלו. אם הוא כבר גנב, אז שהציבור גם ישלם על זה פעמיים. הגיוני סך הכל. האיפור שלו ממומן על ידי הציבור. הסיגרים, השמפניות, המתנות, החליפות שממומנות על ידי כל המיליונרים האלה שלו. הגוונים. ההלוואה היחידה שהוא מכיר היא הלוואת שיער סגול, בזמן שהציבור נשאר קרח גם מכאן וגם מכאן. ועבורו המדינה זהו. כל השאר הם או נתינים או בוגדים, לא יהודים מספיק, לא ציונים מספיק, טרוריסטים. כי זה מה שהפשיזם עושה ותמיד עשה. הופך לבוגדים את אלה שיכולים לעמוד לו ולעצור בעדו. אז יש לי חדשות בשבילכם. אתם לא תשתיקו אותנו ולא את המחאה. אנחנו נלחם בכם ובדוצ'ה שלכם ובפשיזם המסוכן שלכם. אנחנו נלחם על החירות שלנו, אנחנו נלחם על עתיד הילדים שלנו, אנחנו נלחם למען הציונות, אנחנו נלחם למען היהדות השפויה, ואנחנו לא נעצור ואנחנו לא נפחד ואנחנו לא ניתן לישראל להפוך להיות ביביסטן. אנחנו ננצח, כי עם ישראל חי.
Whoa. Powerful stuff. I think you should just, in case you didn't figure it out, you were listening to a lady who used to be in the Likud party, Benjamin Netanyahu's previous party. Or she was previously in the party. He's still in that party, and the party still exists. But yeah, this is very heavy stuff. I think what we're going to do is close it up here today. We have to apologize. We mentioned that we would be having a guest, but he got called away at the last minute. And so we're going to have more guests for you in our next podcast. Ron, you got anything to finish up with?
No, I just want to thank you all for getting out there. And we have to keep hitting those streets. All of you people out there in Berlin, London, everywhere in the world, wherever you are, we need your support.
Absolutely. And when we say we, we're talking about both the uprising and our protest and fighting the slippery slope of Israel's path down, which, by the way, until the first law was passed, we'd reached the precipice of this slippery slope. The second the first law was passed in its preliminary reading, we started slipping. Today, last night, they've actually approved 2 laws that will move on to the second and third readings and then their law. And then eventually we will bring them to a Supreme Court. And hopefully there will still be a Supreme Court that will be able to deal with it and deliberate, but it won't be over yet. In other words, that's our last hope. Then the question is, and we will assume that the Supreme Court will overturn some of these laws, what's going to happen? Who's supposed to follow what orders anymore? Is the country supposed to proceed according to decisions made by the Democratic House, the Knesset of Israel? Or do all of the powers that be respect the supreme law, which is what the Supreme Court decides? And the Supreme Court will take on almost every single one of these decisions. So we may reach a point of absolute mayhem. And I'm hoping that we won't come to it, but we actually may find ourselves faced with police and army who have different opinions, and some might be willing to take their orders from one as opposed to the other. It's scary stuff. So again, get out there, demonstrate, write your Congress people and your senators to support keeping democracy alive in Israel. And we want to thank you all very much. Stay with us. And if you subscribe to the Silcha channel, where this is being broadcast on YouTube, you can get information about all of our podcasts. You can see the podcasts that we've already put on, numbers 1 and 2. And we've even separated some of the interviews into separate videos. So you can watch just the interview without having to watch the entire podcast. thank you all very much. We want to wish you all a good week and peace to everybody. Bye-bye. Shalom. Ila laka.